Hi everybody, welcome back to tnoozLIVE at GBTA, presented by BCD Travel. I'm Martin Cowan, Editorial Director for Tnooz. Delighted to be talking to a couple of startup pals of mine, or we will be pals at the end of this, I hope. We've got Ethan Bernstein, who's the CEO and co-founder of Freebird. You can tell by the Freebird t-shirt. And on my immediate left, I've got Devon, Tivona, who's the CEO and co-founder of Pana. Now, you know, Tnooz readers might be familiar with Freebird and Pana, but on the off chance that they're not, shame on you. Just give us an idea about what Freebird does and why you're specifically here at GBTA.
Yeah, Freebird helps business travelers get to their destination after they have a flight disruption. So if they have a cancellation, a misconnection, a delay for any reason, whether it's mechanical or a weather incident or a delayed aircraft, we have a tool that allows them to rebook on their phone on any airline for free in just 3 taps.
Okay, and Pana?
Pana, yes. So we're the first corporate travel platform exclusively for non-employees. So speakers, partners, customers, on-site interviewees, interns, all the important travelers who might not necessarily work for your company, but it's really critical that they have a great experience coming on site. We handle those travelers, we handle payment so that they don't need to file any expense reimbursements, and we make sure that they get to your office on time.
Okay, so that's quite an interesting take on the sort of the whole corporate travel space. The whole idea of the corporate travel is for employees, but you think there's a massive market out there for non-employees.
It turns out about 1 in 5 trips actually are non-employees flying to a company, yet all corporate travel has really been, tools have built around the employee experience.
Okay, and your business is, the disruption of the business traveler is a pain point that they always talk about all the time, but you seem to have found a way of, is it automated? Do I have to phone Freebird and say my flight's been cancelled, or is it all done automatically?
Phoning people is the way of the past.
Yeah.
The way that our phones have trained us to behave, to expect our user experiences is 3 taps and you're done. Okay. You shouldn't have to call somebody. So, we're bringing technology to a system and a problem that for a long time has just required more and more people sitting on the other end. That's not the user experience people expect anymore.
Okay, so it's 3 taps from the cancellation notice appearing.
Fully automated end to end.
Okay, so it's quite interesting because on Tnooz we do cover a lot of startups, and they do tend to be sort of in the leisure travel space. So I'm just wondering, as sort of startups in the corporate travel space, how difficult was it to get through the door with your ideas initially into the corporate world?
This is going to sound silly, but it was actually very easy for us to get through the first door. So from day one, we knew that we were going to distribute through partnership agreements. We weren't going to try to go on Google and bid for customers. We knew that corporate travel was an attractive opportunity, so we showed up at GBTA 2 years ago, started having conversations, and from day one it was obvious that there was just this overwhelming need and desire to solve this problem. The first conversations we had were with TMCs who were really interested in the operations that we had, and then over time we realized this was a pain point felt by travel managers. I think the challenge that a lot of people face when they try to start companies in the corporate travel space is they either don't know the industry really well, or don't have the connections, or don't realize that the process of getting intertwined with these systems takes a really long time. We knew that coming in, and so we've been able to navigate it pretty well.
Okay, and Devon with Pana?
Yeah, I also think that building startups in the corporate travel space is easier than, or very different, and I believe easier than building startups in the leisure travel space. In corporate, you can have conversations with travel managers, and they talk about their pain points, and you can influence, programs that do 200 million in spend just by working with one individual customer. And so the type of, the type of influence that you can have, and really the type of problems that you're dealing with, for me, are so fascinating. Corporate travel is the travel that helps people grow their businesses. It's them fundraising, it's them investing in customers, it's them traveling on site to make sure that their partners are happy. It's the valuable travel. The one thing that I will say, though, that is a challenge in building a company in corporate travel is you have to keep showing up because there's a lot of corpses in the travel space, and so people put filters on when they see something new, and rightly so. A lot of things don't last after a couple of years, so you have to keep on showing up at GBTAs. keep on showing up in the news until people start realizing this is a legitimate player who's going to stay around, who I can trust with my business travel.
Okay, and I know that we talked a million years ago when you were more of a sort of chatbot for travel agents, so you sort of pivoted the business slightly. I think we reported that Freebird sort of thought it might start off as a sort of leisure thing, so you've both pivoted to an extent from leisure. I'm just wondering if there's any learnings from leisure that you're bringing into travel, into corporate travel.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we built our product for travelers to use us, and we knew that from day one we weren't going to be able to walk up to BCD and say, what do you think of us? Do you want to try us out? So we did build our product for everyday consumers right off the bat. I think what we learned really quickly was that our hypothesis was confirmed. This was a huge need. It was a highly emotional event for travelers, something where they've invested a lot of money and a lot of time in making sure they can get to the people and places that matter to them, and that anything that we could do to improve their experience was the proverbial 10x customer experience improvement. So that's what we really learned from leisure was, hey, we can actually do this. And over time, we've worked our way into corporate to show that this is actually a problem where you can prove out the ROI, you can prove the value proposition, because as Devon said, these are your most valuable employees doing work for your company, and if they don't get to where they're going, business halts in its tracks.
I think we took a similar lesson, which is that user experience is incredibly valuable. In leisure, if you don't have a great user experience, your customers don't use your product and you don't make any money. So the bar is very high. And I think some people have the perception that corporate travel is different because you can just mandate a tool and people will use it. Well, I think the numbers show that that's not true. People won't use the tool if it's not usable and user-friendly, and then it results in a huge data gap on the management side of things. So we too have to build a tool that's really delightful to use, it's simple, so that we see high adoption on the traveler side of things.
So presumably you've both sort of got sort of proprietary backends that you've sort of developed yourself. I'm just wondering how you keep sort of the development costs in sync with your revenues. I mean, it must be quite complicated to build the product that you've built. I mean, so how do you manage keeping a lid on the development costs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
while you're in that growing phase. I mean, when you raise your first billion, then you can get the developers in.
But if there are any interviews or investors watching, we're taking phone calls. But yeah, I mean, when you first get started, you start with nothing. You don't have revenue coming in before you build your product, so obviously you do need to stick your neck out and invest in building something that's wonderful for everyday people to use, that's compatible with existing programs and policies. Those are just table stakes, you have to have those. So part of our strategy has been to invest in our product and our technology and the data science behind it up front so that we can build this phenomenal experience. When a company trials our product, we have a 100% conversion rate into a paid client. And that's because we built something that's worth keeping and worth paying for. And you have to invest, you got to spend money to make money. So we've been very, very deliberate in the investments that we've made in our product so that when people see it in the real world, they believe it and it works.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, R&D is one of our primary investments. People might think, why don't you have a bigger booth or something like that? It's because we're spending a lot of money on making sure that technology, that core of what our product is the highest quality that we can make it. But the way that we manage costs and the way that we make sure that we're building the right thing is to continue to building in iterations. We build something, we put it in front of a customer, and we get feedback. And really, I'd say the last 12 months of our roadmap has all been based upon things that customers have told us are valuable things that should go into our product. We triangulate that, interesting, 4 customers have told us that, 10 customers have told us that. Well, it's probably worth building, and that's when we make the decision to invest in that.
Okay, that's interesting. So you sort of almost your customers build your development roadmap, but then there's a strange circle about you've got to get the customers to listen to you in the first place before the roadmap can come.
Exactly. I mean, there's definitely a product vision, but that product vision, is nothing if users don't actually want to use that product.
In the best case scenario, your customers are building your product roadmap for you. Yeah. There has to be the vision there, but if you can get the two together, that's the magic formula.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you both sort of. Do you see yourselves as startups? I mean, we talked 2 or 3 years ago, and so you've been around for what, 4 or 5 years? I'm not sure how long Freebird's been around. I mean, do you see yourselves as startups, or are you whatever the next stage of a startup is? I mean, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, we've been around 3 years.
Okay.
We definitely think of ourselves as a startup.
Yeah.
You saw Reggie Agrawal from Cvent up on stage earlier
Yeah.
today. They're 20 years old and they're saying we still operate like a startup.
Yeah.
I think it is a mentality. It's about being scrappy and recruiting the best talent and having a culture that you're proud of. And fighting against all odds to bring a better solution to the market and to the world. I don't know if we'll ever outgrow that. I hope we don't. It's a fun time.
Okay. And just sort of long term, I mean, how scalable do you think your businesses are?
I think the fascinating thing about using technology to enhance user experiences is just the inherent scalability of it. Obviously, you need to enhance that with having a great sales team and a great customer success team. But as long as you're listening to your customers and you're building the things that you're hearing are continued pain points, that's we're by nature designed to scale.
Okay. Yeah, I mean what he said. We're building something, the backbone is technology. The technology that we're building is designed to scale, and so we are selling into large Fortune 100, Fortune 500 clients, and we have the ability to turn them on in a day. Go from 0 to 100 miles an hour with them. And that you couldn't do with the old way of doing things, with human beings in a call center and hacking through problems. Technology is the core to that, and that's how we've set ourselves up from day one.
So the scaling issue isn't with the terms of scaling the tech, it's almost just scaling the business to bring into use the tech.
Yeah, everything comes together. I mean, I think someone would be lying if they said we don't have to support our technology with operations, with people, with sales, with customers, with customer support. All that stuff is intertwined, but at the end of the day, we aren't limited by core resources, right? As soon as a customer is able to come in, we're able to support it and grow with them. And that's the backbone. If your backbone's technology, that's the formula.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, when I think about scaling, it's not, do we need to add an extra server or something like that? That kind of, with the cloud, kind of happens automatically now, and it's nice that startups don't need to think about that. I mean, honestly, when I hear the word scale, one of the things that I think about most is scaling our culture and scaling, the high quality work product that we continue to produce. Because every hire that you make is an opportunity to either increase that bar that you have or lower that bar. And how do you scale increasing that bar every single time, so you continually get better and better people in the door.
Maybe I need to rethink my definition of scale.
There you go.
Okay. All right, well that was fascinating. Thanks Devon, thanks Ethan. Thanks everybody for watching in. This is Tnooz Live at GBTA, presented by BCD Travel. I'm Martin Cowan, and I'll be back shortly. Thanks very much.